All right, so before we throw on this brand new set of coilovers, let's check to make sure if they came pre-loaded or not. So preload settings. Okay, so reaction coilovers are sent out with the spring snug and not preloaded. To preload the coilover, you must first measure out the natural spring length. Example 1. So we got to measure out this spring. Then from there, you will need to loosen the 2 locking collars directly under the spring. Example 2 right here. So here's the 2 spring locking collars. So we'll loosen that up. And then once loosened, you will tighten up the spring tension by 3 to 5 millimeters. So since this guy's going to take his car to the track, we're going to go on the higher end of 5 millimeters just to get that extra little bit of performance out of it. All right, so let's go ahead and loosen this up. So they said it was pretty snug, right? Yep. So let's loosen this guy up. One thing to mention too, it's always recommended to get these coilover sleeves like this, because while you're out there doing your thing, whether it's on the track or on the street, you kind of want these sleeves to stay protected. So especially like if you go off track and you're in a bunch of dirt, all that dirt and debris is going to get stuck to this, and then you won't be able to adjust these easily. You're going to have to clean it off. Sometimes it might even get lodged into between here, and then you can't spin the coilovers and you might have to get it rebuilt. Perfect example, like these right here, like his old ones, they were left unprotected. Where's my flashlight? Okay. And as if you can see, let me see if I can zoom in. So look at these, they're all rusted, and it's going to be kind of a pain to try to adjust this. Like, let's say if you wanted to do a ride height change or anything else, it's going to be kind of hard to do that now that they're all rusted and stuff. It can be done, but why not save the trouble and just use those sleeve protectors instead of having to deal with that. So all right, so let's get back to this. So where were we? All right, so we're spinning this down just to see if this is snug like it was. So yes, they come nice and snug, but let's loosen this all the way up. And let's measure the spring from top to bottom. All right, so this is nice and loose now. All right, so let's go ahead and measure this spring. So the spring is about just under 8 inches or so. So I'd say what, 8 3/4 or so, about 8 3/4. So yeah. All right, so now what we're gonna do is snug it back up, but we don't want to compress the spring when we're doing that. So we're just gonna get it nice and snug. All right, so we're nice and snug now, like how it came from the factory. So let's go ahead and run this all the way up to where this is now snug to the top collar. All right, now what we're gonna do is spin this up about 5 millimeters. So we create a gap in between this bottom collar from here to here. And then as soon as we get to 5 millimeters, we'll snug it down, and then we're preloaded. All right, that's as much as we can do by hand. So now let's take our wrench and then spin the rest. And then we're gonna stop once we get to 5 millimeters. So let's just check where we're at now, and then we'll finish the rest. So it's nice and 0. Let's check. So we're about, what is this? 2.7, so we need to double that distance and then we'll lock it down. All right, so let's check it out. We are about 4.9, damn near 5 millimeters. Good enough. So we're gonna stop there, and what we're gonna do is tighten this up. My apologies for the camera shaking. All right, so we'll just snug this together. We'll lock these two. Where's my other? Where did it go? It must have just disappeared. All right, so we got one small one, and I don't know if you can see it, but one is smaller than the other. The hook sizes, I don't know if you guys can see that. So one's for the smaller one, obviously, and then one's for the bigger. So what we want to do is get this nice and snug. Oops, wrong direction. All right, we're nice and tight there, and we're ready to go on the car. But wait, first we got to measure this spring and compare it to the other one just to make sure we're a little bit 5 millimeter difference. Okay, so just finished with the preload on all of these. Just finished up the rear, but before we just throw them on the car, we still have to put these guys on so you can have somewhere for your brake lines to sit on. They have to go here, and we just want to double check to make sure everything is pretty much even from side to side for the most part. So the rear, I think these are the rears. Yeah, the rears, we're gonna measure from end to end here, and it's just about 7 inches. Just about 7 inches, perfect. This one is about 7 3/4, about 7 3/4. And then we should have another 7 3/4, perfect. All right, so let's just grab this and just make sure we hit it with a little. All right, this is nice and tight already. So that means reaction, coilovers. Good job. Quality control is there. Thank you very much for making my job that much easier. So I'm just gonna run through and check the rest of the coils just to make sure. Before I even get to tighten this one, you can already see that they had tightened it, or I don't know if they double checked it or not, but I'm gonna double check it anyway. But you can already tell that they tightened them up already, so it's past snug. But we just wanna double check just to make sure. All right, nice and tight. Now when we throw these on the car, hopefully we don't hear any clunking and things like that, but I like to double check on my bolts, everything that I've touched, and go from there.